Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Down in the Country podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Reed, and today we are joined by another up and coming country music artist, Natalie Joly. Thank you so much for your time today, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And how did you get into the genre of country music? So, like, when you were on your musical journey, what made you realize, like, hey, this is the genre I want to be in?
Well, I was really raised on rock and roll. My whole family's very musical. My parents love music. My first concert was the Rolling Stones when I was 10 years old. So I've been very much raised in music, and they loved, classic rock, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, that kind of music. And as I grew up, I, started listening to other artists. I really got into Taylor Swift and Shania Twain once I was like a pre-teenager, and those were really my big like female influences. So I always considered myself in that sweet spot somewhere between like rock and country. And, as the years have gone on, I mean, the rock and roll genre has just kind of disintegrated, for lack of a better term. Not saying that it's not still there, but it's certainly not there in the same way that it was. And I moved to Nashville a few years ago, and once I got here, I realized that there's a lot of people under the country umbrella that are doing music just like me, and it sounds a lot like mine. And everyone here was like, "You're country, right? You're country, right?" And I was like, "I don't really know what I am. Like, call it whatever you want. I just hope you like it," kind of thing. So I've always been kind of in the middle, and I was like, you know what? It seems to be that the country genre has really just, taken under its wing what people were doing as rock and roll before. So I'm just kind of rolling with it.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up an interesting point because it seems like rock and roll has like really just merged with other genres.
Yeah, it has. And it's really interesting because like people are like, "Oh, rock and roll's dead, rock and roll's dead." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Like you go to a Guns N' Roses show and you're like, "Rock and roll is not dead. Trust me." There's a ton of fans, there's a ton of people who still love the music, they're still listening to it, they're still paying to go see the shows. But in terms of new music that's coming out, things that used to be characterized as rock and roll are just going under other genres, whether that's country or pop or alternative. And it's funny, it's like rock and roll has become kind of like a time capsule that like existed for a finite amount of time. And now in the industry, there's really just not much of a like business infrastructure there for it. Whereas, in country, there's a lot of podcasts and radio stations and shows and festivals and all this stuff that's geared towards country music and country music fans. And you just don't get that in the rock and roll genre anymore. It really is a bit of that like time capsule that's kind of in the past, and it's just been morphed into something else.
Hmm. And you bring up a great point. So you released your first single unintentionally in 2015, and then "You Make Me Mad," which is a great song within
Thank
itself, which was released very recently.
you.
How have you evolved as an artist in relation to both of those singles?
It's so funny because, like, in one way, I think I've evolved in every single way, but then in another, I don't think I've evolved at all. Like, I would still release unintentionally today. I still love that song. I still think that that fits me as an artist. I think I, my style and how I write has definitely been very, like, I've honed in on what I really like. When I was younger, I used to write songs all over the spectrum and like very different sounds. And now I think I've really decided, what I really like and what I enjoy and what my sound is as an artist, which songs I choose to release. And it's funny, with that being said, like I would still release unintentionally. Like I would consider that to still be my sound of what I've gone with over the years. But in terms of how I've grown, I mean, I think as a writer, as a producer, I now produce all my own music. I think I've grown just by, it's like that 10,000 hours rule, when you do something so much, you just really narrow in on what you like to do, what you're good at, what your strengths are, where
Hmm.
to call in other people when you need some help, and, just learning how to get the best product. Whereas when I was younger, I was just shooting it against the wall, just seeing what worked. I didn't really know what I was doing.
Awesome. And then, you know, you being from Boston, I'm really curious, like how people's hometowns, like how have you been able to apply that in your songwriting? So how have you been able to apply your New England roots to your songwriting and country music?
I think where I come from definitely has like its own set of values.
Mhm.
So I'm very like family oriented. I grew up in a big Italian family, and Boston's very family oriented, very proud of where you come from, lots of heritage there, and like, people have been there for generations. So it's very like proud of where you come from kind of thing. When it comes to my family, I was raised, like I said, in a musical family. My father's family are all musicians, and I grew up with holidays where we'd pull out the guitars and play, or at like bonfires or whatever, people would just have guitars around. And that was just kind of the thing. We would all go on vacations up to New Hampshire or Maine, light a fire, jam a little bit, play some Beatles songs kind of stuff. So it just, music is very much the culture of what I grew up in. And Boston's a music town. I mean, it's interesting. Now it's a little bit different, but how many bands have come out of Boston? Aerosmith, The Cars, Jay Giles. Like, there was a period there where so many bands were coming out of Boston, and there's so many musicians in Boston. There's Berkeley there. I mean, it's so interesting because people are like, why did you leave Boston? And I'm like, there's so much talent. There's so many musicians. And then there's a ton of venues that are going out of business, that like, I don't know why, but there's nothing that's really connecting the two. I was just a little late to that party. I think back 20, 30 years ago, it was a different place, but music and being creative is definitely just embedded in the culture up there. There's just a bit of a disconnect in terms of like having a industry infrastructure to help you, get it out there, which is what led me to come to Nashville. But I think I was definitely raised with that creativity all around me.
Mhm. And it seems like Boston too, as well. And I don't know what the reason is. It's become kind of a mini mecca for country music too, as well.
Yeah, no, Boston people love country music. Like, the amount of people that live in Nashville from Boston is crazy. It got to a point where every musician that I knew to call on for a show or for recording was living in Nashville. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing? I felt like I was the last man standing. My whole network of people was gone. And I'm like, all right, I got to go see what this is all about. I think, the thing about country music is that it's real music. It's real instruments. It's a band. It translates really well to live performances. And I think, don't get me wrong, I love all kinds of music. Like, I really do. Right now I'm obsessed with the new Sabrina Carpenter song. It's amazing. So I'm
Is
not
it
like, yeah, please, please,
is
please.
it is it espresso?
No, it's the please, please, please. It is I wish I wrote that song. It is perfect. So it's not that I'm like, a real instrument snob in any way. It's just that, everyone has their preferences. And I think the thing with country music is that it translates so well to live performances, and it's just an energy transfer situation. And people in Boston love going to shows. I mean, people love going to Gillette for, you know, country festivals and whatnot that's going around the country. And I mean, I've gone to Gillette my whole life for shows. It's a big music town. People love music. People are very creative. Everyone plays something in Boston. And that's what was so hard about leaving, was like, there's such this interesting network there of people that I have been working with for so long. It just wasn't the right place for me to grow my own original career, which was sad. It was a sad thing to walk away from, because there's a lot of really good stuff going on in Boston.
And so you've written, um, Pretty Lies. So can you just tell us, what that song is about and kind of what it means to you?
Yeah, I wrote that song a couple years ago. It was like height of COVID and craziness, just all across the board. I think everyone can agree, regardless of where you stand on anything. It's just been pretty crazy. And I wrote Pretty Lies about the fact that sometimes you turn on the news and you just don't even want to hear what they have to say. You'd rather just be told it's sunshine and rainbows, and it's easier to be told pretty lies than to be told the ugly truth about what we were living through, and in some ways are still living through. It's been a crazy time the last few years, and I really have felt the last year or so that I wanted to write more music that reflected other things in my life than just love songs.
Yeah.
So it was one of the first songs that I really like branched out and started writing about, like, other feelings that I have that are
Yeah.
not romantic feelings. You kind of grow up and you get to like I'm married now, so there's not that much drama going on in my love life. um, and you mature and other things become important to you. And I'm very into the world, the state of the world, and our political climate and whatnot. I follow that closely. So I decided to kind of start writing some songs about my beliefs and values in that regard and what I was going through emotionally with that. So that's what Pretty Lies is about. And it was really my first song that I've released in that realm of like writing about things that really mean something to me rather than just love songs.
Do you mind if we play like a minute clip of it?
Oh, please do. Yes, I would love that.
Tell me pretty lies, I don't wanna find what's really going on out there. Need you to sugarcoat it, don't know if I can know what's really going wrong, I swear. I think you've got this all wrong. You think you're in control. I think that is long gone. I heard recently they say it's all up to you and me. Till they steal your inner peace, go out and sell it on the street. You can go and stand up straight and signal you won't hesitate to jump back in the lion's den once more. Tell me pretty lies, I don't wanna.
I love that drum part of it when it like builds up and then it goes into the chorus. That was a really great structurally for the song. Like that's kind of what
Yeah.
gets me into like, oh, I got to keep listening to this and see what Natalie is going to say.
Yeah, that's definitely bringing me back to my rock and roll roots. I love big drum fills. I love it. I was in the studio working with my drummer on that one, and um, everything he played, I was like, bigger, bigger, no, bigger than that. He's like, are you kidding me? Like, go for it, all out.
And were you, when you were writing the song, did you have kind of a vision of, like how did you want to like compose it? Because it's interesting because listening to it, you kind of come in with the vocals first, a light, if any, instruments, and then it kind of really changes. Is that kind of what you were thinking of when you were writing this?
Yeah, so when I write music, I write the structure of the song, just vocals and guitar or piano, either one, and I write the whole thing through just in that application, me and my guitar. And then I pretty much demo every song that I write that I like, that I have like any intention of maybe releasing, I'll demo it. So I had a working demo of the song from when I originally wrote it, and it was definitely similar to how the final product came out, but obviously there's a lot more going on in the final recording. I didn't have any song that I was really going after, but I love that transition from like a mellow, low key verse, which is pretty much just drums and acoustic guitar and bass, and then having it like really hit you like a brick wall going into the choruses where it's that just like heavy, distorted guitar. And you just want to like bang your head to it kind of thing. One of the bands that comes to mind is Creed, which is I feel
Mhm.
like so random. I love Creed. But they did that in a few songs and it's always stuck with me. I thought it was so cool. And I was also, getting into listening to Hardy when I was doing the production of the song. And I just find his production so interesting because it is country, but it's also like so heavy in another way. And like that usually isn't my thing. If you listen to my other music, it's not, I wouldn't call it heavy necessarily. But with this song, I just felt like it fits so well. Just that like brick wall hitting you with the sound and just really like, and then on the second verse, it goes away again and it goes back to the acoustic guitar. And I just thought that was, it kind of takes you through. I like tying in how I'm feeling in the song, like what the song is about to the actual music. Like it kind of takes you through that like emotional roller coaster of like the ups and downs of what the song really is about. And I'm kind of portraying that in the music as well.
Hmm. And I also really love, so at the beginning, just even the print of Pretty Lies, it's kind of like that white print that's, if you're looking at it on your laptop on YouTube, kind of on that right hand side. Like I thought that was pretty cool. Whoever came up with that did a great job.
That was me. Thank you. I
And
do. I make all my own cover arts. So thanks.
yeah. And I mean, just the video of that song though, too, as well. It's like, I just love kind of the transition, just even like from the camouflaged kind of military jacket to like, the hat.
Yeah.
It kind of really, I don't know, like the older I get, the more I like pay attention to those types of details, because it really kind of tells the audience kind of how they should be thinking and feeling as the song progresses.
Totally. And like as an artist, I really appreciate that, because I think some people overlook, like, I wouldn't say, my music videos recently have been pretty simple. They're not these elaborate stories that I'm trying to tell. I don't get the budget for that. But just for a quick, simple, kind of like a visualizer, just something to go along with the song, I do try to make the aesthetic of the videos match what I'm feeling with the song. And I spend a lot of time picking out my outfits for every song and the locations. I drive my videographer nuts about locations. We actually just shot another video. We shot the video for You Make Me Mad yesterday. So I was just editing that before we got on. So that will be out soon. And that's completely different, like completely different vibe. And it's fun. It's fun to take a song, which is a piece of art, that you listen to, and try to turn it into a visual piece of art. And you do that with your cover art and with the music video. And now you do that with, reels and short form videos as well. And it's just fun to kind of create that, like, it's almost like every song you have this like new identity. Like if you look at my Instagram page, every song there's like a different vibe on my feed for that time period, and the next song comes out and it's different because you're promoting the song and everything goes into it. Like, and us artists, we spend so much time thinking about that and what we're going to wear and how we're going to portray it, and we really take that seriously, and a lot of people don't notice. So thank you very much for noticing.
Yeah, I was a philosophy major in college, so
I love that. I should have been a philosophy major. I went to college.
And then you have another song coming out in August, Till I Have My Day,
Yes.
too, as well. Can you just provide like an intro of what that song is about?
Yeah, that song is about that saying, and I was at a gig recently and I tried to say this and I messed it up so bad. I was so tired. But it's that saying, like, tell God your plans and he'll laugh kind of thing. It's about that. It's about how, like, at the end of the day, us mere mortals, we think we're in control of everything, and we think we know what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it. We think we know the pathway to get everywhere we want to be, and we think we can control everything. And at the end of the day, we don't control everything. And, some things we're going to go through in life that we don't want to, or opportunities are going to come up that we're not expecting. And you have to just kind of roll with that. And the point of the song is, just kind of saying, if I listen to you, where are you going to take me, kind of thing. If I stop being so in control and trying to control everything, where is this life going to take me, kind of thing. So yeah, that's what Till I Have My Day is about. I'm super excited about that. I just started tracking that. It will be out sometime in August. I don't have an exact date yet, but I'm really excited about this song. A lot of the songs I'm releasing right now are actually a couple years old because I'm backed up releasing stuff. But I just wrote this one in January, I think, and I like moved it to the top of my list. I was so excited about it. I was like, I don't care. I'm getting this one out as soon as I can. So I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Do you mind if you play a little bit?
Yes, I would love to. Okay, hang on. I'll grab a pick or something. Good thing I'm in my studio. Got everything I could need. Yeah, I'll play you a little bit of it. If I told you once again just what I'm here for, would you laugh? Would you make it well and known right to my face? If I told you I knew how to make my instincts come to pass, would you tell me to sit down and bow to fate? I know you're not gonna let me drown and go to waste. Just wait till I have my day. Wait till I have my day.
Love it. I love the strumming pattern of it. That's kind of the thing that struck out to me. It's like it started off slow and then it kind of went very quickly and then it kind of leveled off into a more stable kind
Yeah,
of
very
pattern.
true. I know I recorded my demo for this and I sent it to my brother and he was like, I wasn't expecting any of what you just sent me. At every point, I was surprised by what happened. Gotta
Now
keep
with
on their toes, right?
now without giving too much information away, like do you have a vision of like of how you want to layer this song? Like do you want to add in more? Like do you want it to be similar to like Pretty Lies or to You Make Me Mad with or like heavy drums, no drums, or kind of like what are you kind
Always
of thinking?
drums, first of all. Always heavy drums. Yeah, I have a working demo of this song too. It definitely has a good amount of harmonies and background vocals in it, which is really cool. I have this vision of it almost sounding a bit like gospel-y, of having like a big chorus. There's a part later in the song where there's like a alternate melody going on behind. And I have this idea of just like a huge chorus sounding. I mean, it'll probably just be all me layered in. I don't have access to a big gospel chorus right now. But it's definitely going to be a, you know, a bit of a heavy song, not quite like Pretty Lies, but there's a lot of electric guitars in there, a good amount of distortion, some guitar licks. Is going to be a solo and a lot going on. But at the same time, I don't want it to be it's actually like not going to be that wall of sound that I was talking about, more like a bluesy, like a little bit less polished version
Mhm.
of just like, this is the song, we're playing it, jamming out kind of thing.
Awesome. And with those two songs, Pretty Lies and Till I Have My Day, what are the feelings that you want people to have so that they can get to know you better, not just as an artist, but also as a person too?
I think it's really important for people to feel that I am an authentic person and that this is really me and that I'm writing about things that I truly feel and am going through and that I'm all about the music too. I hope people understand how much time and effort and heart is put into the recordings because I record everything myself other than drums. I do not play drums, but other than that, I record all the instruments myself in my studio. I have someone who mixes and then someone who masters. But every note of the song is very thought out and very intentional. And I hope people know that. I hope they don't think I'm just like, throwing it together. I hope they know I'm putting a lot of time and effort into it. And yeah, that I'm singing about what's going on in my life. And I think that's really important. I think that's why people resonate with artists is when you sing about things that are really going on in your life, that's when people connect to the music and say, oh, well, that's kind of going on in my life too. And I think that's really cool. I think that's what music is about. That's how I feel about the artists that I listen to is like, whether it's the music or the lyrics. I always say that to people, like, there are definitely songs that the lyrics I relate to for sure. But then there are songs that like the music on like some spiritual level just speaks to me. And it's like I could just like, it's like a warm hug. And I hope people feel that way about my music. I hope that some people relate to it lyrically, and I hope other ones feel like the music is a warm hug. I don't know how else to say that, but that's what I hope they take away from it.
And were at the time you were writing both of these, because you mentioned artists, were there like particular artists that you were listening to at the time?
Not really. To be honest, I'm always listening to so many different people. Like I have the most random playlists. I listen to a lot of older music, to be honest. It takes a lot of recommendations for me to listen to like someone's new album or a new single that's out. I mean, now if you hear it on like Instagram a million times in a day, you'll be like, okay, I guess that's a good song. I'll go listen to it. But I'm not typically the person that's like waiting for people's new albums to come out and like listening to it. I'm really into like studying the people that I love, and like I like listening to like it's almost like comfort music. It's like comfort food, comfort music. Like if I'm just going about my day, like I don't want to have to be thinking and listening to new music and like digesting it new and trying to figure out how I feel about it. Like I just want to throw on like Abbey Road and just be like, I know what to expect. I love it. It's awesome. I'm just gonna, just bask in its glory. So I definitely fall into that a lot where I just listen to the same stuff over and over again.
There's no shame in that.
I know everyone's like, have you heard so and so's newest album? I'm like, oh no. They're like, don't you like them? I'm like, okay, all right. I'm not shading anyone. I just like my comfort music. I do
Yeah.
music so much that it's like I only have so much brain capacity to
Uh-huh.
like listen to a whole new album. I don't just like passively listen to music. Like I dissect it and I listen to it and I'm like paying really close attention. I don't always want to do that. Like after a long day, I just want to listen to something I know.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's the song that kind of really gives me a lot of nostalgia is "I Hope You Dance" by Leanne Womack from like
Love
2000.
song. I love that song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be 25 years old, which I don't want to age myself because I don't. I like to think I'm not getting old, but
Don't we all? No, I love that song. That's I've always when I was living at home in my parents' house, I had a studio set up in the basement and I had a PA system set up down there that I could just like jam out on and I would sing to like instrumental tracks just for practice. And I now have a setup here that I just got set up recently. I was just posting about it online yesterday, where I can finally just sing again, like to a track and just go all out. There's just nothing like it. There's nothing like blaring a song you love and actually singing, like inserting yourself into the song rather than singing along, singing to like an instrumental track. And that is, I Hope You Dance is one of my go-tos. I just love belting out that song. It changes me.
Yeah, it's like the my favorite part of that song is um, so like it's towards the end, but after she finishes singing, and it's kind of like that choiry kind of audio portion of it. That's always like that always gets me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. Really, really
Hmm.
well done.
Yeah, and then kind of changing gears a little bit. So the themes of patriotism and the old school American life are values that you like heavily treasure as a person.
Mhm.
Uh, so how do you show and like not tell them in your music?
I think it's just who you are as a person. I think it's what you value, what you believe in, and I think that comes out in your songs because of how you say things. Like I think there's a difference between talking like really crass in music versus saying things with a little bit more, little not so rough around the edges kind of way of saying it. And I think it just has to do with who you are, how you were raised. Like I always say to people, like being in Tennessee is very like faith, family, freedom, and I love that. I love all of that. Like faith, family, freedom. That's how I was raised. It's what I believe in. I think that comes out in my songs, whether it's Till I Have My Day, which is a song basically me talking to God, or Pretty Lies, which is about the state of the world that we live in. Or, even when I do write romantic songs and stuff, I try to keep it PG and appropriate. I always think I'm like, I have 7 nieces and nephews and they listen to all my stuff. They watch me on YouTube. They're like, that's you. How did you get on there? Like, why am I not on there? I'm like, okay, relax. You're 6. But I want to be a good influence on them. I don't want my music to be something that they're parents have to shelter them from. I want to be teaching good lessons and promoting good things. And like we were talking about before, like you said you went to school for philosophy. Like I certainly did not go to school for philosophy. I'm not going to claim that, but I have read a ton of books. I'm very into learning about human behavior in the world, and I just think it's so interesting, and I want to write music about that. Like I'll write music about something I read in a book, or like I have one song that I haven't released. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but it's about how it's just this theory I came up with that, like, I don't know about you, but I love going to chiropractors. So I have this theory where, like, they say if you break an ankle and if you twist an ankle and then you just let it heal, it's going to heal like not quite right. And that's okay, but it's going to be not quite right. Whereas if you like go get it adjusted, they can put it back in place and then you can heal correctly. And I was thinking that that's kind of similar about people that go through like complex traumas in their life. You go through the trauma and then you heal from it. But just because you heal from it doesn't mean that it didn't heal a little bit incorrectly. And now you have these kind of baggage from it. You have these false beliefs, you have these incorrect notions and these triggers. And, I think when you go through life, everyone has stuff they go through. And then at the end of it, you have all these years and years of stuff you've gone through and maybe haven't healed it all correctly. You've just, on to the next thing. It's life. You don't have time to sit around and dissect everything you go through. So I wrote a song about that. And like, that's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And I just want to write about things that are important to me. And,
Mhm.
you know, like you were saying, the patriotism and the faith, family, freedom, that is super important to me. I love that about being down here in Tennessee. There's a lot of, like-minded people, and there's a church on every corner kind of thing. And I just think it's part of the country music culture, which I think is great. And I love that about it.
And is that kind of how you want to contribute to the genre?
Yeah, I mean, I think musically I contribute to the country genre by the fact that I have a really like deep roots in rock and roll. And I think that plays really interestingly with it. It complements country music a lot. Like I certainly was not raised on, Willie Nelson. Like I'm not going to claim that. But I was raised on the Eagles and Leonard Skinner and Tom Petty. And, I always say to people, like, if Tom Petty came out today, he would be the biggest country star out there. But back in the 70s, it was called rock and roll. So it's kind of just like the names of everything have changed a bit. But I do think that my background in rock music, with that little bit more of an edge, a little bit more heavy guitars, some distortion, some solos, a little bit more of that going on, I think it contributes something to the genre. And it's not that there's no one else doing it. There's plenty of people doing it, but I think everyone has their unique take on music, and that no two people are the same. And, I think that's what's so cool about country music, is that people are doing it in so many different ways, and there's room for everyone. There's no like one way to bake the cake in this industry, in this genre. There's 1.5 million ways. And you just have to be true to yourself and do what you think is right. And because at the end of the day, like, you're selling yourself, you're selling who you are and what you believe in, because that's what your music is. And you have to believe in it to sell it. You can't be going out there and promoting something that you half-ass believe in. You have to really believe in what you do. And that's why you got to do what feels right. You got to write the music that feels right about the topics that you really believe in. And that's when it's going to feel the best.
And kind of what you were just saying, believing, selling in what you believe in, is that kind of what you want to be remembered as a country music artist?
Yeah, like I was saying before, I want people to think of me as being really authentic and genuine, and that, what you see is what you get, and that people really know who I am. I like really connecting with people, which it's a funny thing in this day and age, because everything is so social media based, and I think it's hard to connect with people really on social media, whether it's, me posting and people getting to know me, or me looking at what other people are posting. It's hard to get a good representation of someone on a screen. But when you play with people in person, you play shows or you work with them, you collaborate, you write, you become friends. Like, I want people to really know who I am and to be like, oh yeah, her music makes total sense. That's who she is. And like, your art is really, it's an extension of who you are. I mean, at the end of the day, it's everyone has their style, and the style comes from who you are, what you believe in. And I just want to be really clear on that. Like, I want people to say, oh yeah, that's Nat. That's who she is. That's like, love her or hate her. That's who she is, you know?
Yeah. No, I love it. And so not only the song "Till I Have My Day," which is being released in August, are any plans for any new EPs, albums, or other songs?
Right now, I am still sticking with releasing singles because it's getting me to release things more frequently, doing just one at a time. I've released three or four, I think four songs in 2024 already. And I'll probably release another four by the end of the year, which is insane for me. I don't think I've ever released more than 2 songs in a year. So this was really my year that I was like, I'm getting as much stuff out as I can. After that, I would like to think about doing more of a EP body of work where I could really, you know, pick the songs that go together and have them be a unified, cohesive group of songs. I think that's really fun. Kind of like what I was saying about the music videos. It's like the branding all around that is just so fun to have a project come to life. But right now, my priority is just getting out as much of my music as I can. I have hundreds of songs that no one's ever heard that I would love to release, that I love, that I listen to myself. And I'm like, no one else can listen to this. So that kind of drives me insane. And my goal right now is just to get out as much as I can, however that is. If it's an EP, if it's singles. Singles are easier because I can just do one at a time. You don't have to worry about, taking months to record the EP and then have it all released at once. And plus, I'm not sure people have that much of an attention span anymore, especially for independent artists. It's kind of just like you throw out a song here and there. And I think that for where I'm at right now, I think it's working really well with people actually paying attention and not giving them too much at once.
Mm-hmm. And and that's kind of one of the things I've learned in life too. And it's not only it is applicable to music, but it's also applicable to other things. Is people don't know what they want. It's the Steve Jobs thing. It's people don't know what they want unless you throw it in front of their face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in this climate, it's also hard because songs have to be chopped up into a 15, 20-second clip. And it's like, well, the song is 4 minutes long, but thanks for asking. It's kind of like, it's hard. Back to my other point, it's like, I would drive myself insane if I really tried to like, what songs do I have that have a really good 15-second hook? Like, I just pick the best thing that I can out of the songs that resonate with me at the time. I'm here to, I want people to like what I do, and I want fans to follow along with my music, but I have to be into it first to be excited about it, to put my heart and soul into it. I have to be excited about what I'm working on. And that's just kind of what I'm doing. I'm lucky that I get to do music full time, and I am doing it for a bunch of reasons. But first and foremost, I'm doing it because I love it. And I want to really love what I'm working on, and hopefully people will love it too.
Awesome. Great. And where can people find more about you and listen to your music?
Yeah, so you can just go to nataliejoly.com. That's spelled Joly. And that kind of has everything. All my music is on there, my music videos. You can really, it'll take you to all my social medias as well. But if you just look on any, whatever your favorite platform is, just search Natalie Joly. I'm on, I think, everything. Everything that I know of, at least. So you can just follow me online. And I'm most active on Instagram, but I'm trying to do better with, I'm on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of it. So everything I got going on pretty much gets everywhere one way or another. So whatever you use, follow me there, and stay tuned for new music soon.
Awesome. And Down in the Country podcast, you can find the video version on YouTube, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts for the audio version too, as well. Also have an Instagram, Down in the Country podcast 1, 2. for you guys to follow too if you're interested. This is Dylan Reed signing off. Thank you so much again for your time, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me.